Welcome to the Brain Factor Podcast with Joy and Laura, powered by Meridian Healthcare, approaching wellness with heart, one life at a time, one community at a time. This is a science-based conversation about real life. Our goal? To leave you with a few nuggets of wisdom, smile on your face, and maybe even a laugh or two. So let's jump in. Hi, welcome to the Brain Factor. I'm Joy, your host here today, and I have with me Lauren Cohn, and she is our getting pretty regular guest co-host lately. So thanks for joining us again today, Lauren. We always love having you here.
Yeah, thank you. I'm happy to be asked back and for the opportunity to spend a little more time with you.
We're heading into January.
Yes.
And a lot of us do some things that, if you follow this podcast, you know that I don't believe in New Year's resolutions. But lots of us set New Year's resolutions. My resolution 20 years ago was to never make another resolution, and it's the only one I've ever kept. Not that I think resolutions are bad, but what I think is you do things when they're meaningful and when they work for you. I think you should make resolutions, you should change things, set goals, just not for New Year's, because you don't want to start failing in 3 weeks, because there is research on that. Yeah, so I wanted to talk a little bit about what's called the arrival fallacy, because we're all going to jump in January and be like, I'm going to get a new career, new job. I'm going to go to the gym 7 days a week and run 3 miles, a day, and all these different things that we're going to do because we think that we're going to achieve something. And we might. I don't want to say nobody achieves their goals. Lots of people do. But we're setting ourselves up to get to a particular goal or location that we think is going to make us happy. And maybe it will. Maybe it won't. Maybe it'll make you happy for a period of time. Maybe it won't be forever. That's why I wanted to talk about it today. Since it is January, and January is a good time for this conversation.
It's perfect timing. January is often the goal setting month.
Yeah. So have you ever set a big goal and felt surprisingly nothing? Like when you achieved it? Yeah. I mean, stuff like that has happened to me. Even if it's just something silly like, oh, I'm going to get all this stuff done, and I get this done and I'm like, there's still more to do.
Yes.
Like, I really thought when I got the cabinets organized that it was going to be good.
That it was going to be it. I was going to be happy. I was going to kick my feet up and it was going to end there. Nope.
Yep. And that just did not happen for me. Yeah. Lauren, have you ever had that happen to you where you were trying really hard to achieve something and then it just didn't work out to be what you thought it was, or you were just still left feeling unsatisfied, or the joy of it didn't last as long as you thought it would have?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of examples of that, right? And maybe not that it wasn't a joyful experience or that it brought happiness. It's just that happiness wasn't maybe life-changing or long-lasting because life kept going and new things happened. But the first thing that came to my mind when we were talking about this was when I was younger and my husband and I were working to get out of our tiny apartment and into a home, and we were putting all this effort in and we were saving, and it was going to be life-changing. What were we going to do with all the space? Because our tiny 1 bathroom, we were going to have 2 bathrooms. So this was going to be life-changing. Maybe it was marriage-changing, but life-changing, it definitely helped us. But it was going to be, this wonderful, amazing thing. What were we going to do with all the space? And it was joyful. It was great. But it wasn't life-changing joy forever. And then, the increased electric bill came in, or then the hot water heater wasn't working, or the garage was broken, and all of these things that are just a part of life that, started happening, and you fill up the space that you're in. And so the second bathroom has always been magical, but that's been the one thing. But otherwise, it wasn't. The goal became different. The goal shifted. We moved away. It didn't stop there. The planning and the goal setting. So I think we keep changing the goals when we achieve something. We keep resetting or moving or starting something else. So it just doesn't bring that lastingness that we anticipate when we first start planning.
And that's okay. The important part is to understand that and to know that. So The arrival fallacy is the mistaken belief that achieving a specific goal will bring lasting happiness. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like Lauren just said, we're going to change the game. If you're goal oriented, the minute you achieve one, you're like on to the next one. Sometimes it's just not exactly what you expected it to be. Maybe you went and got the car that you always had to have and you thought it was going to be amazing. I can think back to high school when you got a car. Well, it was always amazing. That's a bad example.
Yeah.
Never got unamazing.
To your point, like, you know, the car is amazing, but you still have to sit in traffic and
you
drive,
gotta sit in traffic,
right?
and then, oh no, I need gas money.
Maybe it's all of the other things that go along with it that don't change. Or we get so focused on the end result that we don't think about the process or enjoy the experience of getting to that enough to celebrate that moment or be in the moment.
Yeah. Or being aware enough to stay focused on that. Like, you know, you've got your house and then the hot water heater was breaking and I don't know, you had increased bills and that type of thing. So it didn't give you this lasting forever happiness. But if you think about it in the journey and the process and focus on the process instead of the end result, you're still there. I mean, yeah, so what? The hot water heater broke. I still have my house.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think this sort of builds on, if you tuned into last month's episode, which I'm hoping you did, this sort of builds on that theme of maybe enjoying the journey, the effort, celebrating the victories and the wins, and not placing so much on those outcomes and the end point. And when we do that, it feels like our happiness is conditional upon these things instead of, we have a lot to be happy about, but it often feels like that happiness is then tied to an achievement of some sort.
Yeah, you know, and it's an interesting time. I've been starting to see early studies and things like that on how social media is impacting that as well, because you can go after something that you really, really wanted and loved, and all you do is, where's my phone? Pick up my phone and I can probably open up Facebook or Instagram or whatever and find 15 things right now that make me go, oh, I really wish I had that instead.
Yes, yeah.
I'm not deprived of anything. I mean,
No.
I have a really good life, but it doesn't matter.
You know, I read...
There's always more out there.
Absolutely. And social media definitely plays an impact on that.
Huge.
And I remember reading an article, this will age me, but I remember reading an article when social media was new. And the article was, you know, I'm paraphrasing here, don't quote me, but it was along the lines of battling those Facebook blues. And it was really the toll that social media was taking on people's mental health, because often the majority of people are only presenting a fraction of their life on social media and
just the good
are
parts.
just the good parts. I mean, we've all got that one friend though that airs everything. You know, we do, but most people are presenting the good things. And I think all of us might be guilty of that, not intentionally, but because if you have something to post, it's usually a trip or a celebration or an accomplishment or something along those lines, right? That feels post-worthy. But what it's doing is creating this world and this perception that everyone is accomplishing everything and everyone is doing all the things and getting all the things and the accolades and the trips and then why am I not, or I should be too. And so you're holding yourself to a standard that isn't based on reality. You know, it's based on...
Yeah, because you're only seeing little pieces of it.
Yeah. So I think that definitely plays a part in why we are continuously setting goals and moving the goalpost.
Yeah, and I think that brings us to, or can bring us to, or lead us to, like, chronic dissatisfaction, or, you know, even some people it might be low self-worth. You know?
Yeah.
A lot of people struggle. I'm full of myself, so it's just I'm not just kidding, but I am a fairly confident person, so I don't really, you know, I'm like, oh great, that's good for you, I'm so glad you have that. But sometimes people are in a point in their life where they're still struggling. There was a point in my life when I admired almost everyone and everything because I was broke and struggling and trying to get by.
Yeah, absolutely. And so then we're placing our self-worth and value on those things or those achievements or those accomplishments, and why am I not doing that or getting
it doesn't
that?
let us focus on what we actually really do have.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Celebrating the things that are going well and that are great, and the accomplishments day to day that
I guess it also, it makes us, if our confidence is fragile or our happiness is fragile, that decreases our resilience. And like this entire podcast is about increasing your resilience, through research-based factors. So I just think that we need to think more about that next thing concept. And you mentioned a little while ago focusing on the journey.
Yeah.
We were talking just briefly before we hopped on camera, and I said I can look at it in terms of travel. If I could apply this to all of my life, I travel a lot. It's my passion and I love it, but my travel isn't the week or two that I'm traveling. It starts probably 6 months, sometimes 8 months, sometimes it's 3 months in advance, because I'm planning, I've got ideation, I'm figuring out where I want to go, and I appreciate all of that as part of the travel package, because I'm looking up different cultures, I'm trying to make sure I know some of the words in the language of where I'm going to be going and what the proper etiquette is. Who do I tip? How do I tip? How am I going to insult someone? Because you can insult some people in some countries by trying to tip them. There's lots of stuff and I'm always learning as I'm doing this. And then I get to take the journey and go on the trip, which is amazing. And then after the fact, I try to take some time, look at pictures, make a picture books. I've taken that little, even if I just went for a week and made it this like 6-month thing. Yeah. And wouldn't it be nice if I did that with some other things?
Yeah.
I mean, I love my job, and I have a great career, and I pretty much have for a very long time. So I'm really fortunate, but things frustrate me sometimes at work. You get frustrated at work.
Yeah.
But if I appreciate, and I do try to do this as well, but if I appreciate all the different things that go into that give me satisfaction, that help me be who I am, like I enjoy doing this podcast.
Yeah.
It's also work. I have to develop episodes, but it's kind of fun to look up the different things we want to talk about and put plans together and that type of thing.
Yeah.
Instead of just coming and then it's over and then I'm done.
And that's it, and then you're on to the next thing. Well, I think you never really get to enjoy anything if we're always wondering what we're doing next or what we need to accomplish or changing the goal, then we never celebrate any of those things. And that's how you get burnt out and overwhelmed if you are going and you don't stop to enjoy the journey or stop to enjoy the achievement or the accomplishment, because you're on to the next thing, or I've moved it. I hit one marker, but now I'm changing the goal. So you never really get to celebrate or relish a moment, you know? And so I think that's also part of it. And that's why we get overwhelmed and we get stressed out and we get burnt out and we never rest. And we keep thinking we'll rest we'll stop when we hit the next one. We'll stop when we hit the next one, but we don't.
Because we think we're going to arrive somewhere and it's going to be magical.
It is going to be magical.
I put a couple of things in my notes that I wanted to make sure that I mentioned. It's if you can focus on that journey, if you can bring that journey into your life and stay focused on that instead of the arrival or the fallacy of the arrival, it builds resilience. So I have written down here that enjoying the process gives more frequent emotional rewards. So you're getting more positive. And I think last month we talked about high-fiving yourself in the mirror because it only gives you good things. But we get a lot more of that emotional reward, and it helps us to stay more grounded. So we're not just future focused. You know, there's so much that goes into grounding and focusing on the moment and bringing yourself back to exactly what's going on right now. And those are all reasons that enjoying that journey or focusing on it helps you to build resilience.
Being present, and that's something I think we talk about, but what does that really mean, right? And you're trying to be more present instead of I'm here and I'm doing the thing, but I'm worried about finishing the thing and what's next. What are the next steps? And and accomplishing something instead of really just being there and enjoying the process.
And I really actually, even I'll just go back to travel again because it is my favorite pastime. I try to stay, even in doing that and enjoying, as much as I just told you that I focus and enjoy the journey, I'm better at it now, but there was a time where I was not as present when I was doing it. And I really try to, like, I want to have pictures, I want to have millions of pictures to save and everything else, but realized I was missing a lot of enjoying what was actually happening at the moment because I was so busy taking pictures of what was happening at the moment. I wasn't participating.
Well, if you go to a concert or things now, and you see everyone's on their phone, everyone's recording it, everyone's looking for a sound bite or something to put on social, right? Almost to the point where, is everybody enjoying it or not? We don't know. But that's sort of a similar concept. And I don't know about you, but I've been on trips, especially when I was younger, where every activity I'm like, okay, we have to go because there's another activity, and we're going and going and going, instead of being there and saying, look at these views, or look at this moment, how lucky are we to be here, right? Or any of those things. And I think that's a lot of what we're talking about here.
Yeah, definitely.
Staying grounded, staying in that.
Yeah, and it's hard to do. I mean, we're like, oh yeah, just do this. It sounds easy, but it really is hard to do until you practice it. It's like with anything else. If you practice, you get better at it, and that's what we want you to do.
Yes, absolutely. I think in separating ourselves from that accomplishment, because that's where, again, to build on last month's episode, where we get mired in the failures, right? Because we've tied our value to the achievement of that goal. And so if we don't achieve that goal, what does that say about us? What does that say about our value? Whereas, we have value in other ways. Even if we fail at meeting our goals, what can we learn from that, and how can we shift? But when we place everything on that target and that goal, then we are setting ourselves up for difficulty and disappointment sometimes.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I think if we look at, so we're talking about travel, we're talking about, I don't know, going to school, getting a degree, getting a job, buying a house. But if we can look at our entire life as a journey, how cool would that be?
Yeah.
And just learn to really appreciate, or not even learn. Well, yeah, it is learn, because you need to practice and you need to learn to do that, and you need to keep focusing, but that's going to help you be happier, because I bet if you stop and you look at where you are, you've got this whole lifespan, and if you look at this period, take 2 weeks, and think about what happened in those 2 weeks that deserve appreciation, that you didn't give it any because you weren't at the goal mark, you weren't there yet, or you passed a goal mark and then you're just going along, because there's probably a lot of things in there that need appreciation.
Yeah, and that you were there, you were present.
Yeah, hopefully you were present.
Exactly.
That would be great.
That would be great. That would be great. So I think thinking of this, shifting that focus to what you're saying, that your life is a journey, and enjoy that journey.
Yeah.
And being mindful of that, keeping in that present moment, celebrating those small wins, those micro wins, as they say. Not everything needs to be a big giant win for it to count, right?
Yeah.
There are things that people are out there doing every single day that are wins.
They definitely are. Yeah. I was thinking a little bit about, with different things in a journey or goals, if you remove the outcome, would you still do the thing?
Yeah, absolutely. Right.
Yeah.
That, are you doing it just in service of a goal, or are you doing it just to enjoy
and maybe there is a goal, but maybe you learn certain things to get to a certain goal, but if that goal wasn't there, would you still want to learn those things? And for me, a lot of times the answer is going to be yes to that. So I don't know, it's just a different way I was thinking about it.
I think this is shifting to some of these like process goals.
And that's a great point.
Instead of the goal. If your goal is, you want to get healthy, maybe be healthier. Maybe I'm projecting, this is a personal goal, but you want to get healthy.
That would be a great goal, but I think a lot of us are going to say, I want to lose X number of pounds.
I want to lose weight, but maybe the goal should be, I want to be healthier. And so in order to do that,
How do I
I'm
do
going to
that?
walk a few times a week because I enjoy walking. And so this is something I like, and I'm going to do a few times a week because this will help me be healthier or do something I also enjoy doing. If my goal this year is to read 20 books, do I think that that's going to happen outside of work? That's going to be a tall order, right? But maybe it's just to read once a week for an hour because I like reading.
Yeah.
And maybe that's not a certain number, a certain volume, or certain goal. It's just I'm going to try to do something I enjoy doing. And then that will maybe produce, a feeling of joy because I enjoy doing that.
Yeah.
Not, I have to read this. I have to get through this. I need to read this book. I need to read 10 books by the end of the year. That doesn't feel joyful anymore, right?
Yeah. As you were talking about it, just made me think of Stephanie Esposito, who is sometimes a guest co-host on this too, and she's a runner. And on one of our episodes, we talked about her setting a goal to run a marathon. And it was this amazing thing. She went from zero, she was not a runner, and then she trained and she trained and she trained and she ran the marathon. And she was like, that is it. I have arrived. I am never doing that again. And then she was like, well, I think I want to do another one to see if I can improve my time. Because there was an arrival fallacy. She achieved that goal, but then she wanted more.
Yeah, that's so true. Then the goal became something different and changed and increased and added to it. And I think that's exactly because it maybe wasn't the end all be all. It wasn't. That's
and
it.
I thought
I
think she thought it would be.
Yeah,
I thought it would be. I'd be like, I would never move again.
Yeah, like if I survived it would be quite a tale. But so I think some things we can talk about. What does this mean? What does this look like in your daily life, right?
Yeah.
That's what we always say. We try to give actionable takeaways. How can I implement something we have said? And I think that's one of them, shifting to more process goals that focus
that's
on
a great one. I'm so glad you brought that up.
Easy to do. I think that's easy to do. And what are some other, I think you had one.
I would, you could start to maybe start a journey journal.
I like that. Journey journal.
Yeah, and put some things down in there that you think that you can appreciate or should appreciate about your current journey and where you are, and keep track of that. I did bring something up. I know what you're trying to get me to say now.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I have this friend, and she takes in her annual planner one of the pages, and it could be graph paper. You could do it on anything. And she creates this graph. And it's like January, and then she makes little boxes for the 30, 31 days, whatever days. I never learned that rhyme and how many days are in each month. February, 28 days, and she blocks them all off. And she likes to, I guess it's focusing on the journey, but she'll go through, and every day, if she has a good day, she makes the little square green. And then if she has it was okay today, she makes it yellow. And then if she has a bad day, she makes it red. And sometimes she'll share these on social media and say, oh, I guess it wasn't a bad year after all. I was thinking it was, because there's 365 squares on this, and maybe 300 of them are green.
Yeah.
But you remember
the reds.
The yellows and the reds, especially those reds, and maybe the reds were like 20, so you had 20 bad overall days. And I think I've always loved that since I saw her do that. I start sometimes and I draw it in the back of my planner. I'm like, I'm gonna be like her this year, and then I get away from it. But I'm gonna get back to it and really do it.
Well, I like the idea. It's sort of it's helping you pause and reflect on the day. And often when we reflect back, it's and again, we said this last time, but it's the negative that stands out. It's you focus on that area, you focus on the struggles and the miss. If you really had to classify that day, though, even if something difficult happened, maybe the whole day wasn't difficult, though, right? And so it's kind of forcing you to look at things in totality instead of just
and she does that. It's the full day when she's judging it.
Not just one thing happened, so it's a red. But what did the full day look like? And then you can go back and look at that whole experience. Yeah.
I'd recommend that definitely as a strategy. I love the process goals. I love the tracking of the day. I'm so glad you reminded me that.
It was a good one. I liked it.
Yeah. Thanks for that too. just, focus on your own journey and your own moments, and think about that arrival, that arrival point, that goal. That arrival is a fallacy. It's not going to satisfy you forever. So focus on different things, or even just knowing that once I get this, I'm going to something else.
Yes. Yeah. That's a reframe also, is, this is maybe one step in a larger journey that we're on, right? I also think you made another good point earlier when we were talking about thinking of what that goal or the struggle is going to matter in 10 days, 10 months, 10 years. What does that look like? Because often we're weighting things so heavily that this is going to be the end all be all. It's not only am I going to be so happy when I get it, but if I don't get it, everything's going to be ruined, right? And so
that's a good point.
Looking at that too. So I think those are some things to think about, after this day to day.
So we like to, challenge you to focus on your journey and, think about reframing your goals, think about being process oriented for your goals. And we hope you have an amazing January.
Yes.
And we
Happy
look forward
2026.
to seeing you again. 2026. Stop.
I know it is.
Thanks for listening to The Brain Factor. Joy and I are so thrilled to be having these needed conversations. We'd love to hear your feedback on this episode, so if you could drop a comment or leave a review with your thoughts or any requests that you may have, it would be appreciated. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Living a healthier and happier life starts with one step, and we're excited to be on this journey with you. Until next time.